I'm James Brierton. We're coming on the air right now with Carolina Weather Group live coverage. As we've been tracking on our Carolina Weather Net throughout the day, we do have a number of thunderstorms out there right now, but one in particular that we need to bring to your attention here at about this 4:30 time on this Monday, April the 7th, 2025. We're going to take you right over here to eastern North Carolina, just outside of Greenville. The National Weather Service in Newport has issued a destructive storm warning, a severe thunderstorm warning for destructive wind damage of 80-mile-per-hour gusts and golf ball size hail. This goes until 4:45 p.m. Eastern time. The thunderstorm producing damage was located near Old Ford, or 11 miles northwest of Washington. It's moving east at 80 miles an hour. Now, what does this mean when it's a destructive thunderstorm? Well, the base tier for a thunderstorm warning, in order for the National Weather Service to issue any sort of severe thunderstorm warning, is at least 60-mile-per-hour winds or 1-inch size hail. This is 2 tiers up from that. This is the type of thunderstorm that you want to treat like a tornado. So right now, if you are in the path of this storm, you want to move inside to a safe place. This is moving away from East Carolina University. This is moving away from Simpson. We'll take a look at the camera and the storm reports in just a moment, but I want to first tell you where this storm is headed. So if we put the storm track on, we can see we do have this storm moving north and east as it continues down the path. Downstream of this is Beargrass, Blackjack, Pitt Greenville Airport, Dowdy, Fickle Stadium, Washington, Yattsville, Grimsland, Dardens, Simpson, Jamesville, Pine Town, Greenville, Plymouth, and Goose Creek State Park. As the National Weather Service says right here on your screen, this is an extremely dangerous situation with tornado-like wind speeds expected. Mobile homes and high-profile vehicles are especially susceptible to winds of the magnitude and may be overturned. For your protection, move to the interior room of the lowest level of the building. The storm has the potential to cause serious injury or significant property damage. This is a potentially deadly storm. Seek shelter in an interior room on the lowest level of a well-built structure. Abandon vehicles in search of a more substantial permanent structure. So they don't want you to ride this out if you're on the highway. If you see a building, head for that. Intense thunderstorm lines can produce brief tornadoes and widespread significant wind damage. Although a tornado is not imminently expected with the storm, it is best to move to an interior level of the lowest building of a home. This storm, again, may cause serious injury and significant property damage. Radar indicated hail up to 1 inch and 3/4 size with 80 miles per hour observed winds. So let's switch this over from relativity to velocity, and we can actually show you what some of those winds are like right now. Again, this is moving off to the north and the east. It is moving relatively quickly, which is certainly amplifying that wind. It's moving east at 80 miles an hour. So this is faster than you're going to be able to drive. You can see it came on through the East Carolina University area, the Simpson area, the Winterville area in the last 30 minutes or so, and is now continuing off to the north and to the east. What we are going to watch here is for this storm over the course of the next 30 to 45 minutes to continue out to the east, see if it's able to maintain the strength or potentially how it cycles on through. And if we put this radar back into motion, again, we're looking at the reflectivity because I just want to show you that as this came in to Greenville here, it was certainly producing that 80 mile per hour wind, which is, again, why we're starting to get early indications that we are seeing storm debris and damage associated with this storm. Again, not a tornado-warned storm, but a storm we want to treat like a tornado warning. We do have up for this region a severe thunderstorm watch that goes throughout the remainder of the evening hours. And this is kind of the top tier worst case scenario that you could possibly get with a severe thunderstorm warning. Severe thunderstorm warnings can feel like a dime a dozen, but this one is something extra special. The National Weather Service once again telling us that the potential exists here for 70, 80 mile per hour winds across the greater Greenville area, with these thunderstorms having a history of producing damaged winds And they're asking us to relay right now to the town of Washington, rural southeast Martin County. Winds of 70 to 80 miles an hour are possible, again, over the course of the next 30 or 45 minutes. Right now, they do have this destructive severe thunderstorm warning in effect for southwestern Washington County, northern Craven County, eastern Pitt County, southern Martin County, northern Beaufort County, all of this here in eastern North Carolina. This is the only place right now in the Carolinas that we have any warnings. They are all in the form of severe thunderstorm warnings. And these are severe thunderstorm warnings that we are going to tell you right now to treat like they are tornado damage. This is hurricane strength wind, hurricane 74 miles an hour. We are at 80 miles per hour here as this storm continues to move off to the north and the east. This orange box that has popped up is a special marine warning for the inlet here. If you know anybody that's out on a boat, give them a call, give them a shout on the radio, let them know that this storm is coming, because we're, once again, watching here as 70 to 80 mile per hour winds continue to move off to the north and the east. So how did we get here? What's been going on? So if we switch this back over to velocity and we start to quarry some of these winds, I'm going to see how far back I can get this to go here over the course of the last few minutes, because it looks like some of this damage probably started way back here towards Mount Olive, where we have reports of power outages down. Thunderstorm wind damage, that probably means trees and branches and things. So this probably started out towards the I-40 corridor. And let's see, this happened here at about 3:39. So that's a little bit further back than we usually go. So let me make sure that I've got enough frames on my radar, and we'll take you back. We'll take you back to that time frame here. Okay, so this is that time frame. I'm going to put it in dual panel mode. I'm going to move my face up to the top. So on the left-hand side of your screen, that's going to be classic reflectivity. That is like heavy rains like you're normally used to seeing on your radar. On the right-hand side is going to be velocity. We show you these, of course, a lot when we are tracking tornadoes. We're looking for that wind, but you can see this bow echo right on in here. This is going to be what our bullseye is as it moves up to the north and to the east. And you can see every one of these little circles on your screen represents damage that you all have reported, officials have reported over the course of the last few minutes. Again, I want to remind you that the left side of the screen and the right side of the screen do show the same location. So you can see where Smithfield Clinton is as this moves now from the 3 o'clock hour. We're going to put the quarry on. We're going to center this up on the screen. It's going to have the strongest winds right on in here, right over, I think that says Roseboro. At about the 3 o'clock hour, we're already starting to see radar indicated about 50, 60 miles an hour. This was at the 3 o'clock hour. We'll advance this a little bit further here. As it just passes Smithfield Clinton, we're already beginning to see on radar indications that it has 70 mile per hour winds. As we are looking at the color of these pixels on the right-hand side of your screen, that represents what the radar indicated winds are. And this Smithfield Clinton, that is a weather stem station. So after we're done with this little radar replay, we're going to go check to see exactly what that station observed. As this moves closer to the I-40 corridor, again, you're starting to see 60 mile per hour winds here. Let me get this re-racked for you. You can see those impressive winds on the right-hand side of your screen. The brighter those whites are, those are the extremely strong winds. And as this now moved closer to the north and the east, you can see it did produce damage near Mount Olive. And you can see every one of those reports on your screen here. We'll read through them in just a moment. But again, I want to kind of just continue on this little tour, this little radar tour, if you will. You can see right on in here about the 4 o'clock hour, we have strong winds still down towards Beaver Creek. And, they then have all these damage reports up towards Greenville. And the radar here is almost not doing it justice. Let me see maybe if the Raleigh radar had a better indication of what some of those heavier winds were as they got closer to the Greenville area, because as we kind of toggle between these two different radar sites, you can start to see right on in here those winds starting to develop as this storm at 3:30 here on our archive replay begins to strengthen up. And I apologize that it keeps jumping back every time it gets a new radar image. I do love radar images being updated for us, but you can see right on in here about 50, 60 miles an hour, about 3:30. This is just now outside of the I-40 corridor as it was leaving the interstate heading towards Snow Hill. And let's watch it right on in here. 70-mile-per-hour winds were recorded about 3:42, just again approaching Snow Hill. This continuing then off to the east, we're still looking at least 65-mile-per-hour, 70-mile-per-hour winds as this begins to push into the Greenville metro area. We're seeing radar indications of at least 70-mile-per-hour winds, and that is certainly enough to cause damage, widespread power outages as this moves through the Greenville area right there at the top of the 4 o'clock hour. And you can see, I think if we get right on in here, some of these brighter whites and pinks, you can see about 70-mile-per-hour winds estimated by the radar. Some stronger ones up here to the north, too. The radar, of course, is surfacing or sampling the upper atmosphere. So it's not necessarily a true indication of what was happening on the ground. But we do have another one of those beloved weather stem sites in Greenville at East Carolina University. I will be checking that for ground truth here in just a moment. But again, just wanted to kind of give you the lay of the land based on what we could see based on radar here as that thunderstorm did come rolling on through. Now, we've dropped a lot of the warnings. Let's take this back down to single panel. This threat now has moved beyond Greenville. It is moving off to the east. It is inside this yellow polygon. That is the only warning we have on the board right now. And we've dropped one tier down from destructive to, again, a more severe, considerable severe thunderstorm, 70-mile-per-hour winds. There are 3 tiers. A little known thing, there are 3 tiers for severe thunderstorm warnings. There's a base tier at 60 miles an hour, there is considerable at 70 miles an hour, and then there is catastrophic or destructive at 80 miles per hour. And that's where we were just a few moments ago. The Weather Service has taken it down 1 notch, but this is still a serious situation with 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts and quarter-size hail, 1-inch size hail as this storm continues now for the next 5 minutes at least for southwestern Washington, northern Craven, eastern Pitts, and southeastern Martin, along with northern Beaufort counties. This warning from the National Weather Service going to at least 4:45, and then we'll probably see it extended as this will then continue downstream. But right now, we still want you in that safe place, River Road, Bell Haven, Pine Town, Plymouth. You can now come out of your safe places in Beargrass and Williamston and Hamilton. The threat has passed you. But we've been talking a lot about the cameras that we have on the ground. So I'm going to see if we can pull up any of these cameras that we do have in the area, see if we can get any ground truth to what might be happening right now. We're also getting a whole barrage of storm reports that emergency officials are sending to the National Weather Service. The National Weather Service is vetting them and turning them around and sending them out to us to then bring to you. So we will have those on screen here in just the next few minutes. It is always a priority for the National Weather Service, first and foremost, to issue real-time live warnings, and then they take in those damage reports, helps them understand what the ground truth is, what's happening on the ground, and then it helps us paint a picture. And they try to get them turned around as fast as possible so that it can be as informative to the messaging that they're trying to get across. And that's what we're here to relay, is that life-saving information that the National Weather Service in Morehead City is in charge of putting out right now as they continue to track this thunderstorm. Just one thunderstorm warning right now on your screen as I wait for some of our camera systems to load on up here. But that is enough for us to, again, warrant watching this cell very carefully. You can see it's going to continue off to the north and the east. If it were to hold together, Craswell as well as Kill Devil Hills out here on the Outer Banks, it'd be coming your way in the next hour or so. It has weakened some, but enough that we are still concerned about it. And that's why it does have that extra special kind of tier 2 out of 3 on the thunderstorm wind damage report. So we'll, again, continue to keep an eye on that right here. It is now 4:40 p.m. on this Monday, April 7th, 2025. I'm James Brierton in Charlotte, North Carolina, and you're streaming special live weather coverage from the Carolina Weather Group. Appreciate you being with me here as we jump on to keep an eye on these storms. We've been streaming throughout the day on our Carolina Weather Net, which you can watch for free any place you watch YouTube, helping keep an eye on some of these storms that have been coming on through. We've had live radar and real-time alerts as streaming throughout the day, and then this one here kind of just really warranting a high bar as we were watching this here around that 4 o'clock hour or so really begin to pop off. So I think I have some of my cameras working. If I can just get this to load on up. It's certainly being a day where technology is not always wanting to cooperate, but I do have a live view on my screen right now. Tell you what, we'll just replace my face. You don't need to see my face, right? Let's just take you on out. There it is. So this is a live look right now. East Carolina University there in Greenville. From WeatherStem, we'll be looking back at some of the archival information, data that they were able to record right here where this camera is on campus in just a moment. And we can see exactly what it was that they may have experienced there in Greenville, North Carolina, less than 45 minutes ago, as this very rare thunderstorm came rolling on through. It is not every day a storm of this magnitude comes barreling through. If you're a parent, your student, your staff, we should tell you right now the campus is safe. The threat has moved on through and has moved off. But about an hour ago, certainly, if you were there, you were feeling some of that intense storm, the wind, the hail that came on through with this storm. And they've recorded about a quarter inch of rain. And I'm just trying to find the historic information here so I could better inform you as to what it was that they felt as this storm came on through not but a few minutes ago here in eastern North Carolina. And then we'll also go through some of the damage that has been recorded so far. But we do know that they saw winds recorded there at the Pitt Greenville Airport throughout the day, gusting over 30 miles an hour. I'm still waiting to get complete records and observations as to exactly what they saw today when this storm came on through. So I'll come back to that here in a moment as I work to get that better situated for you. But we can show you some of the storm reports that we have today. And I can actually hear in the background that the Weather Service is continuing to process additional storm reports. So what I'm going to show you right now in terms of confirmed storm reports is quite preliminary. And we know that we will have more storm reports to bring you later on, and of course on our weekly show coming your way this Wednesday night at 9 o'clock. But here's what the National Weather Service has been able to confirm so far. And you can actually see from left to right there the trail of destruction left behind by this storm. We can also see on the screen all of the severe thunderstorm warnings that were issued in association with the storm. But in order to avoid any confusion as to what's happening now or what happened in the past, I'm going to go ahead and turn off some of that. But you can see this storm starting here near Fayetteville. And it brought down numerous trees in Hope's Mill about 2:30 this afternoon. We also had trees down in St. Paul's, North Carolina, again, along that I-95 corridor, just outside of Lumberton, outside of Fort Bragg. Numerous tree reports down here. Pembroke, a large tree limb between 12 and 18 inches in diameter. That is certainly a large tree limb. We're not talking about a weak little something. That is a significant piece of wood there that fell during the storm. And then the storm continued off to the north and the east. So again, as it approached Clinton, we talked about Clinton there, video of multiple trees falling in a neighborhood in Roseboro, North Carolina. That's on social media. We'll see if we can track that down for you. As it crossed over I-40 and came towards Mount Olive, this is where we again, we know we have a tree down on a house here. We have trees blocking Jones Turner Road. We have trees down on the north side of town where we have multiple reports of power lines and trees down at southwestern and southern parts of Wayne County, especially in the Grantham area, Dudley and Mack communities. 255 power outages reported in that community alone. Trees down here near Shelton Road and Highway 403. Trees down Highway 117 and Tom Hill Road blocking one lane. We also had a 64 mile per hour wind gust that was recorded. So that's, again, giving us some ground truth. As the storm brushed Goldsboro, over 600 power outages reported by Duke Energy in New Hope due to trees down. And then the storm continuing here as it approached Greenville. You can see we have trees and power lines down. We have trees and power lines down here too. This is Carson Edwards Road near Highway 903. In Greenville, the storm dumped 1.75 inch, that's 1 inch, 3/4 inch hail. That's about the size of a golf ball. That is enough to inflict damage. You can see it was recorded right in the downtown area in Greenville. We see that measurement there. Still working to get the exact wind measurements for you, but we know the Weather Service was warning for winds between 70 and 80 miles an hour. This actually, right now in the map, it's preliminary, but this is intended to show you all of the storm reports we have confirmed today for this Monday across North Carolina and South Carolina. And it is just right now this one storm that has produced enough damage that you can see a trail. We don't even have any really significant damage reports to tell you elsewhere. Now, it's preliminary. Some of these might get filled in after the fact. But we can certainly see what this one storm did. The National Weather Service, as we come back out live, continuing to track this storm with the history of producing damage, has expanded that severe thunderstorm warning, but they've brought it back down to the base tier. They've brought it back down to the base tier 60-mile-per-hour storm. Severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 5:45 for Washington, Hyde, Beaufort, and Terrell counties here in eastern North Carolina until 5:45. The severe thunderstorm that we've been telling you about is now located on a line extending from Westover to Winona. It's near Core Point. It's moving east at 55 miles an hour. It's slowed down here a little bit. We're still watching for 60-mile-per-hour winds and penny-size hail. The hail threat's come down. The 60-mile-per-hour wind threat, still enough to produce a warning. I don't want to sound dismissive. Any severe thunderstorm warning is one that we need to be responsive to. But boy, have we really kind of taken a deep breath from where we were less than an hour ago as the intensity of this thunderstorm cools down here a little bit as it comes into a slightly more stable air mass downstream. The National Weather Service deciding to keep the warning on this as we continue to track it. We'll just go ahead here real fast and we'll check winds. You can see on radar, the right-hand side of your screen, nothing is quite as bright as it was when it came through Greenville. Matter of fact, we looked at the winds associated with this storm, replaying them now as it came through Smithfield, Clinton. You can see we had one area of really strong winds, and then it kind of moved on up. But we had a hail threat with that storm, right? So if we go to vertical integrated liquid and we go ahead and replay, again, for context, I'm keeping the heavy rain on the left-hand side of your screen, and I've asked the radar now to show me what it thinks the hail was. And you can kind of see, let's try on the Raleigh radar here, kind of two different vantage points, two different perspectives as this storm came on through, because we know it dropped hail almost 2 inches in diameter over Greenville. And you could kind of just see it there in that last frame. Again, the hail on the right-hand side of your screen as we replay that hail coming down here to right about the 4 o'clock hour associated with that storm. Again, if you know anybody that's out on the water, the yellow represents a severe thunderstorm warning. The orange represents essentially a severe thunderstorm warning over the water. It's a marine warning. We need to treat them the same way. And so if you do know anybody that's out and about right now, please do give them a call, give them a shout on the Marine Band, and let them know that this is coming towards their location. So how did we get here? What can we expect throughout the rest of the day? National Weather Service Storm Prediction Center in Norman, Oklahoma does have a slight risk, yellow on your screen, tier 2 out of 5, for the remainder of the afternoon here in eastern North Carolina and also coastal South Carolina. And that is in part due to that storm threat that we've now seen play out. There's only, quote unquote, a 2% chance of seeing a tornado, a 15% chance of seeing damaging winds. I know that it doesn't even sound remarkably that high, but that is, in fact, exactly what has played out in eastern North Carolina. And the hail threat was so non-considerable, it almost doesn't even show up on the map. But as we go on through the rest of the day, we can show you what this is going to look like on Futurecast, help you anticipate and plan for your afternoon here. And we'll go ahead and we'll pull up the latest HRRR high rapid refresh model. It's our most high resolution model. And you can see those storms that are over eastern North Carolina. They're going to slowly, very slowly, eventually move off to the north and the east. But that's the thing with this storm system is it is moving considerably slow. And it has to do a little bit with the angle and the speed it's at. And while that last thunderstorm I was telling you was moving at 80 miles an hour, I've now dragged this 12 hours into the future, and the rain is still coming down over eastern North Carolina. And you can actually see where I am in Charlotte. If you're joining me from the Piedmont or other areas across the Carolinas, this whole stream so far has been really talking about one distinct destructive cell over eastern North Carolina. But you can see there's still more rain as we go on through the remainder of the evening hours that will be falling across other portions of the Carolinas. You can even see that severe threat kind of persisting here. We have kind of right on here where I have the text showing up. We'll watch for a couple areas of stronger storms. This is about 10 o'clock at night. And you can see that line, that cold front, right on here, are just offshore now during the overnight hours. So we're going to continue to watch for ponding a roadway as the rain continues to fall on a now pretty saturated North and South Carolina. We're going to watch for a few of these cells to overperform, like the one over Greenville did not too long ago, because that was, in fact, a very impressive storm that came on through and really grabbed our attention. And it's not every day here in the Carolinas that you see a destructive 80-mile-per-hour storm like that moving on through. And I can actually, again, show you how the National Weather Service has implemented in recent years these tiers. And it's really helpful because I know, especially in summertime, it feels kind of repetitive. You get thunderstorm warning after thunderstorm warning after thunderstorm warning, and they all just kind of begin to feel the same after a while. They shouldn't, but they do. And I realize that. And the Weather Service realizes that. And so that's why they've got this tiered system. It's meant to help combat overwarning, to help you tell one severe thunderstorm warning from another. And so you can actually see in this WCNC graphic a base about 58 miles an hour, 60 miles per hour, quarter size hail, 1 inch size. Considerable. That's the tier 2. That is 70 mile per hour. That's golf ball size, 1.75 inches hail. That seems to have verified in Greenville. We have a hail report of at least 1.75 inches of hail. That warning that went out was for destructive 80 mile per hour winds, baseball size hail. That was what they were warning for. That was kind of the top tier of what they were concerned about. That's not in any way to say that that's not what happened. They're still gathering a lot of information. We've got all sorts of trees down. We've got storm reports still filing in. And a lot of times when areas are impacted, we don't get all that information right away. So we're going to watch for more reports to come trickling on through. But we can already, less than an hour after the storm came through Greenville, North Carolina, confirm for you that it was at least a considerable 70 mile per hour, 1.75 inch golf ball size hail thunderstorm. And so you probably saw them trigger that wireless emergency alert, which again, so many of us associate with tornado warnings. But that is, in fact, exactly how they want us to react. They want us to seek shelter from this very dangerous storm that came through, again, less than an hour ago. And we'll take you back out now and show you where this storm is as we continue on live with you here on the Carolina Weather Group. I'm James Brierton in Charlotte, and you can see the storm is now that base tier, 60 mile per hour, but with a history of producing some significant hail, significant winds as it continues off to the east. It's over Creswell, coming towards Columbia. Some of the strongest winds just south of US 64. You can see that little bow here, and that's always kind of what we watch for, to see where some of the strongest winds are going to be. If I zoom on out, you can again see, just like Futurecast was showing us, we do have a secondary line. I think it's going to refresh here in just a second, and it was kind of right on in here, right? And it was pushing off this way. That's kind of the all clear line. Once we get through that, we'll have a little bit calmer of an even. There we go. Okay. So you can kind of see right now, this is that back end. So, don't let your guard down in Greensboro or Raleigh. We're still watching a few areas of heavy rain. We don't expect as much severe weather with that, but we should stay alert and stay prominent as we kind of continue to watch. Now, this storm that does have that severe thunderstorm warning on it, again, it's now about 40 miles to the coast. So in less than an hour, this particular cell should hopefully move on out. If the warning were to get extended, I would expect it to be in Southern Shores, Kitty Hawk, Kildare Hill, Nags Head, so on and so forth, as that continues to move on out. The greatest wind signature still is near Creswell. Will likely extend it to Columbia with 50 to 60 mile per hour winds still possible, as the National Weather Service keeps a very, very close eye on that situation that is continuing to play out there. I don't know that I anticipated today in my bingo card a destructive, severe thunderstorm. But that is, in fact, what has played out here over portions of eastern North Carolina, leaving kind of a trail of damage and destruction. Starting down here with some of those first reports were near Lumberton, and then we have storm reports going at least all the way to Greenville. And that is 120 miles in and of itself. And again, I expect we will get more information as we move on through. We mentioned a couple times the WeatherStem station that is located over at Smithfield facility there in Clinton. And while this shot doesn't necessarily tell us a whole lot, I'm happy to see that the camera is online. We don't see any damage here at the top of the building. The water tower there you can see in the background. So we've got power, we've got internet. That helps us kind of just do at least a little bit of an assessment as to maybe how strong that storm was when it came through there a little bit more than an hour ago. And, the WeatherStem stations, they do produce a time lapse of their imagery each and every day. So I'll be very curious to see at the end of the day what that time lapse looks like at East Carolina University, at Smithfield Clinton, at those WeatherStem sites, to better understand exactly what may have been observed there as that storm came on through. And I'm sure I'll find it here. We can get the highest wind measurements that were recorded by that station today, because I think they're going to be quite impressive looking. Once I'm able to kind of grab onto those, and we'll bring them to you again on our weekly show this Wednesday at 9 p.m. But so I can tell you from WeatherStem, 50 mile per hour winds were observed there at the Smithfield Clinton WeatherStem station as a part of that severe thunderstorm, at least 50 mile per hour there. And then they've also got a station at East Carolina University, again, back over in Greenville. And that WeatherStem station did record some strong winds as well, too. And we'll work on obtaining those so we can turn them around to you. But again, the threat is now east of there. So those areas are all clear as we watch for that severe thunderstorm warning. It is bowing out. It's still bowing. This is still a storm that if you're in Creswell or Columbia, seek shelter, head inside. The storm is nothing to toy with, as we've seen in other areas across eastern North Carolina. What is possibly our best radar here? We'll come out to Morehead City as we come up in the 5 o'clock hour. And this is what we're watching for here as the storm moves on off to the east. Briefly going to check a couple of your comments that have been coming in live with us on Facebook and YouTube. Raining hard in the foothills. Thanks for that report. Certainly as that secondary line comes on through. I live in Greenville, have worked and drove a moped. How dumb would it be for me to go to work tonight? A moped doesn't sound like my vehicle of choice in rain, as I'm sure you would agree. This is some of the strongest threat, but as you saw in that future cast that we played a few moments ago, there's still going to be some heavy rain moving on through. So maybe you can catch a ride with somebody for a little bit safer. Question from Blackbird: was there any rotation? No, not necessarily any tornadic rotation that we were able to observe with the storm. This is purely a wind threat, but wind is wind. So whether it's rotating in a tornado or coming at you like a wall, it can still produce the same type of damage. And that is certainly the situation that seems to have played out here. appreciate you watching, guys, and being with us here as we continue to track this and all the storms out here today across the Carolinas. And yeah, this is a great comment. Very strong thunderstorms today and a freeze warning to follow. And yeah, stay safe, North Carolina, South Carolina as well too. And that's exactly right, because these storms are kind of the transition between the warm humidity, some of those record-breaking temperatures and the humidity we've had over the past few days, and transitioning us back to a more cold air mass. And hot and cold, they don't like to get along. And so what we're seeing with these thunderstorms is that transition. And so if you did plant a garden, if you did kind of get going with crops and things, you do actually need to worry about freezing temperatures or cold temperatures over the course of the next few nights. As crazy as that sounds, as we sit here talking about thunderstorms, that is exactly what is transpiring here on this Monday, April the 7th, 2025. My name is James Brierton from Charlotte, North Carolina. If you're new, this is the Carolina Weather Group. We are a weekly weather podcast discussing weather, science, technology, and more from the Carolinas and beyond. We're live on YouTube and Facebook each Wednesday night at 9 p.m. and then available on demand wherever you get your audio podcast. And then on days like today, when we have severe weather rolling on through, we'll pop on like we did here to kind of tell you what's going on as often and as best as we can. But at times that we, myself and my colleagues, are not physically sitting here, do know we're keeping an eye on things, as is our 24/7 Carolina Weather Net. It provides live radar, storm reports, and live sky cams from across the Carolinas. You can watch it any place you watch YouTube. So for those of you on YouTube right now, we're going to send you back over to the Carolina Weather Net for exactly what I just described. We'll keep an eye on exactly what continues to play out. And until then, it'll keep you informed and abreast of what's transpiring here as we continue on with a slight risk, tier 2 out of 5, severe weather risk here in the Carolinas. Thanks for joining me. I'm James Brierton.